on, you guys? It's your boy Alex West Collects here, bringing you another figure review. And today we're taking a look at the WWE Mattel Ultimate Edition Coliseum Collection Series 2. We have Jake the Snake Roberts and Ravishing Rick Rude. These are exclusive to MattelCreations.com. That is the only place you're going to be able to grab this set. They do retail for $70, so they are a little pricier. But again, they are exclusive Ultimate Edition figures. They are a smaller run than a mass-produced set. So generally, Ultimates are, what, $32.99 in stores, so they're not that much more. But, you know, just like we received with the first series with Hulk Hogan and Terry Funk, they do come in this awesome slip box, really collector-friendly, to kind of really make it stand out. So I think for what you're buying right now, it's pretty awesome. But you can see the awesome artwork right here on the side of the packaging. You got Jake with a snake going around, Rick Rude, and his awesome robe over here, as well as the WWE logo. And flipping onto the front side of the box, or the back, I guess, depending which way you're looking at it, you have Jake the Snake here. Awesome character, also paying homage to kind of a throwback vintage look. You have Ultimate Edition here on the bottom. You can't see that. On the side, you have the Ultimate Edition logo, and on the other side, you got Rick Rude. Looks pretty awesome, him opening the robe, as well as the WWE logo here on the bottom. And on the top of the box, you will get a saying for each of them. You have the snake will always bite back. DDT is like life, cruel but very fair. On the bottom, you have a saying for Rick Rude. Flipping it over here, it says, simply ravishing, keep the noise down. Let's come back and we're actually take these guys out of this box. So it is a slip packaging, just to save some time. Before we move to the actual figures themselves, I did want to show you the insert on the box. So you'll see it has Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick Rude. Once you open the tab here from the side, you have a little pull tab with the WWE logo. On the inside, you get the crowd for kind of the LJN throwback look. You'll see different characters in there. Looks pretty awesome. Has different sayings. Damien's number one fan. Cut the music and pick your poison. Look how awesome these figures look in their packaging, the really throwback look to the LJN line. You have the Coliseum Collection logo here on the top. The awesome images of Rude and Jake on the side. I just love how clean this looks. Not only is it a vintage, like, throwback nostalgia feel, but it just looks so clean and nice, so bright, just beautiful packaging. You got the clear window here. You can see the Ultimate Edition logo. Ravishing Rick Rude here on the bottom, and Jake the Snake. So on these little cardboard inserts that look like stages, they do have the additional accessories that do come with the figure. So Rick Rude's robe is in here, different heads, interchangeable hands. Same with Jake. I think it's the sash for the snake. And you can see how awesome Damien looks with Jake here. And Ultimate Edition Damien, will definitely take a deep dive into that versus other Damien figure or snakes that we've gotten with Jake. But they just look so clean. They're collector friendly, so don't forget, if you want to keep them mock and just take them in out, you can slide the packaging. There is a little cut here where you can just pull them out just like a tab. But flipping them onto the back, look at these beautiful cards if you wanted to cut them out. You have the whole read up here for Rude and Jake. The different accessories include, as well as other figures that we've seen. So Series 2 does have Jake and Rick Rude, obviously. Series 1 had Hulk Hogan and Terry Funk. Don't forget, we did have the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Sergeant Slaughter that really kind of kicked off this line unofficially. But I'm so excited to see what other figures we're getting from the line. But again, the packaging just has a nice nostalgic feel to it. Looks really good. And again, if you can see from the sides, you can just slide these cardboard inserts out, and they will come out. You can save them, you can discard them, whatever you guys want to do. And you will pop the figures out here from the back, as you can see. But let's save you all of that headache here. We're going to come back and get them out of their plastic shells. I wanted to show you real quick what the accessory boxes look like. So you will see it has Ravishing Rick Rude on the front, very similar to the Series 1 or in the San Diego Comic-Con Ultimates that we've gotten in the past. You will see how nicely displayed the accessories are. You got the interchangeable hands and the heads for Rick Rude. And removing this plastic tray here, underneath you will see the robe nicely packaged as well. Remember, we had that issue with the Elite 77 Rick Rude that had all that staining, so I do like that they did not pack the robe on him. But I cannot wait to get this out of the plastic to see how that looks. And we also do have Jake the Snake's box, same exact thing, opens up in the back. Another set of interchangeable heads and hands. Moving that underneath, you will see the sack, which will hold the snake. Does have the drawstring on there. It looks very nice. And again, very similar to the sets we've seen before, but we'll definitely dive and look at a bunch of comparisons for sure. Finally getting to the figures themselves. So we're going to start off with the Rick Rude, and we're going to take a closer look at all those accessories. So you get a set of open hands. You also do get a set of grappling hands. Additionally, you do have a set of fisted hands. And you do get a set of interchangeable heads. So you got the kiss face one and more of a smiling kind of smirk versus the kind of generic skin here on this figure. And comparing all three, I think the head on the figure itself is probably my least favorite. I think the kiss face is definitely my favorite. And then number 2, I'm going to go with kind of the smirk. He's got the nice mullet. I feel like the hair sculpt is the same on all of them. Taking a look at the back. Let's get the actual figure turned around here. Looks really great. I really do like the look of it. Great likeness to Rick Rude. We'll definitely be swapping those heads on throughout the video. And look at this beautiful soft goods robe. Look at this nice silver. Sloppily tied it in the front. I really hate tying any of these robes. I just feel like it's just impossible to get them looking nice, but this robe looks so good. You got the little sparkles of the silver going throughout the robe here, if you guys can see that. The belt is actually sewn on, so that is nice. Makes it a lot easier. You can see it sewn on here into the side. Get this nice kind of like silver foil. It looks just really nice, man. Not sure if he wears it like up or down. I don't really remember, but a trick here to help kind of keep it steady was I slipped it under the hair just to give you a better idea itself there. And you can see on the back, it's a simply ravishing. It is kind of a little harder to see with the lighting, but it does look great in hand. You got the lips here on the back. Removing the robe, we'll get a close look at it off of the figure. Really like it. It's just Mattel's soft goods team is really knocking it out of the park with a lot of these stuff, especially the Ultimate Edition figures. Just some nice stitching. Just looks really good, really premium for this Ultimate Edition line. And here we have Rick Rude, and from what I'm being told, this is a new torso. What I think it is, it technically is. They added the butterfly joints, but I think this is the Shawn Michaels Ultimate Edition torso that we got. Was that Series 4? Correct me if I'm wrong. Had the abs. So Rick Rude does have abs. You can see that here. He does have the butterfly joints as well, so it looks really nice. Does have the double jointed pinless elbows here. He's got the tattoo on the side, and he's got these awesome tight designs with the purple and the black and the different shades with the pink. You got simply on the side of the boot, ravishing on the other. Taking a look from the back. Looks really nice. I really do like how this figure came out. It does have the drop down hips there, so for the added articulation, added this year to the Ultimate Edition. So Rick Rude does have that. I will say the butterfly joints don't feel super tight, but they definitely don't feel loose either. My one shoulder joint here is really tight. I mean, I'll give you guys a tip here because I was doing this off camera. Play with this or work it off of the figure because the arms do pop off on the Ultimates. Don't sit here and try to like bend it up. Maybe heat it. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. It is very stiff. And just kind of play with that to get it to kind of work a little better so you don't loosen up anything with these articulated shoulder joints here. But really does look nice. I really do like the way this figure came out. And, you know, let's swap some heads while we're here. Heads come off pretty easy. Like I said, the head that was on the figure is my least favorite for sure. This looks pretty great, too. I do like the likeness to Rick Rude here. He's kind of got the smirk. We'll bring it in real close. I love the mullet look. And this is the only Rick Rude I actually have in my collection minus the Build-A-Figure. I had the Elite 77, but it was completely stained. I had bought another one from, I think it was eBay or found it in stores. Also stained, so I just got rid of that figure. I know they had like a running change where the, I think the vest, or excuse me, the robe was packaged on the side. But, you know, by then I was done with it. I really like the tight variation, but I'm glad we have an Ultimate Edition form because I feel like this is the only one I really need. And look how great that looks. You can swap the hands out with those more open hands and have him doing his little pose here. That looks so freaking sweet. I do really like how this figure came out. And like I said, I don't have any other Rick Rudes in my collection, unfortunately. The only one I have is the Build-A-Figure, obviously much later in his career. And just look how short this figure looks. My God, it still bothers the hell out of me that he's this tiny. And I hope we get some like interchangeable legs from another figure where I can pop these out and really make them more accurate. Oh, that's awful. But if you wanted to take a quick close-up look at the head scan from Rick Rude in his prime versus his end of his career run as more of a manager, mouthpiece kind of look, but both look great. I am happy to have them both in my collection. Moving right along, we are taking a look at Jake the Snake Roberts. So as far as accessories go, you do get a set of pointing hands for him calling for his DDT. You get a set of fisted hands, as well as a set of more open hands for him to hold Damien. Additionally, you do get this nice sack to put the snake in there. Obviously, this is a new Ultimate Articulated Damien. I'm curious to see how it fits in the sack. And if you guys want to see, this is the sack that came with the Legends 8 Jake the Snake Roberts figure. And you'll see the material here is a little different, more of a velvet look. I think the Legends 13 figure had more of a similar feel to it. Obviously, a little bigger in size to fit the snake, but both have the drawstring and the similar color. Additionally, you get a set of interchangeable heads, and I'll be totally honest with you guys, I started shooting this video, I had to stop and recoup because I thought Mattel had messed up and sent me 2 of the same heads. So clearly this head is very different. You get a smiling Jake the Snake Roberts scan, right? But look at the head on the figure versus this one. They are very similar. I had to do a double take and really observe and see what was different. So you'll notice the thinner mustache versus the more bushier one with the figure, the head here on the right. The eyebrows a little more raised, kind of a more of a beady-eyed look. I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about either of these. I feel like they're just too similar, but I get Jake was a very, like, serial killer-esque kind of, like, staring you down, like, very, you know, scary-looking dude. But I don't know which heads I like better. I want to say probably the smiling skin just because it's different, but maybe this head here with the bushier mustache. And for the first time, we are getting an articulated Damien. So take a look at how this figure, this snake actually wraps around the figure before we even get to Jake. I mean, just look at the articulation of the snake. You could have it coiled if you wanted to pounce. Just really does pose. And look how long it is. If I could even fit it totally on screen here. Look at the size of this snake. It is massive, and it's got some nice color textures to it too. It's green with the black scales on here. You can see the nice finish to it underneath the lighter kind of green variation as well. And you can see the eyes on Damien. I don't know if we're going to capture on the camera. And it's even got the 2 little nostrils here. And I'll be honest, I hate snakes. Just a fun fact. Oh my god, they creep me the fuck out. So if you ever want to scare your boy here, throw a snake in front of me, I will scream like a little girl. So not the biggest fan, but this snake does look really good. And you know, for figure photography, if you guys wanted to have it wrapped around your opponent or just slithering around the floor, this will be very cool. I'm curious to see the different unique ideas that other photographers come up with. Damien does look great. And while we're at it, let's get the sack. Let's see if he fits in here. I'm very curious because it is very big and bulky. And I'm sure with some work, yeah, this doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem. I think if you really want to scrunch it in there, you probably could. But just right off the cuff here, I think it would fit. But I think I may just have him like peering out of the bag while Jake's holding him or something. That would be pretty cool. I know the snake is awesome. No complaints here. I do like it. And I think with some play, you can really wrap it around and squeeze it all the way in the sack here. But let's move on to Jake. So Jake, obviously we've gotten this figure very similar in Legends Series 8. Same attire. We will definitely jump into some comparisons with that. But you will see he does have the chest hair. This looks to be the torso from the Amazon Fan Takeover Shawn Michaels. He's got a little bit of that chest hair speckle. I was never really crazy about this. It always looked like a bunch of bugs moving around it. I really wish they'd have something a little more realistic, right? It just looks like a bunch of ants on his chest. I don't know. But he does have the double jointed pinless elbows as well. He does have the butterfly joints. And I will say, with the newer Ultimates from Series 16 with Razor and AJ, the butterfly joints were a lot stiffer. Not to say these are loose, but they definitely move a little easier. Personally, I like them to be stiff because I feel like over time with movement, they're just going to loosen. But just to point out, his shoulder joints are not as tight as Rick Rude, so that is a plus. If you guys want to see the deco on the tights itself, got the purple snake here with the green. Personally, I always remember Jake wearing green, so I'm glad this is the figure we are getting in an Ultimate. And look how nice those boots look. So we've gotten some Jake the Snakes in the past with the snakeskin boots, but I feel like these are definitely on another level. Really look more realistic. Obviously got the toe articulation. He does have the drop down hips as well. I will say this one's a little stiffer for me. I don't really want to mess with it. I got to heat it. I've seen a few of them breaking. Like I said, I've always been skeptical on those drop down hips on other figure lines, so I'm not going to mess with it. That is a little stiff, but this figure looks pretty good and, you know, really does hit the likeness to Jake the Snake Roberts for sure. And swapping some Jake the Snake Roberts heads on this Ultimate Edition figure. So here is the smiling scan, as well as the other more stoic head with the thicker mustache on there. And I feel like I like this head scan probably the best now that I see it on the figure itself. Before we jump to some Jake comparisons, I want to actually compare the snake. So this is generally what Mattel has been giving us with Jake the Snake figures. You can see it's just usually a green. I know we've got a yellow one, more of a rubbery feel. It's kind of coiled up and you just kind of throw it over his shoulders and just have him hold it. But look how much more realistic this Ultimate Damien looks versus what we've been getting with Mattel. Just on another level. This looks like a toy, and this just looks so realistic. Absolutely love the variations between the basic Elite Snake versus this Ultimate one right here. Starting us off with our Jake the Snake Roberts comparison. So on the left, we have the greatest hits Jake the Snake, based on more of his later run in '96. You can see obviously different attire and kind of a more of a cartoon head scan, I will say. On the right, we have the Legend Series 13 with the blue tight variations here. This looks really great. This is still probably my favorite Jake the Snake head scan, I'll be honest. But you will see that the Ultimate Edition, I think, is slightly taller. Definitely has more size to him. I feel like I like this torso look on him better. Jake was always a fuller guy. These were a little skinny, too skinny for Jake if you ask me. So definitely feel like the Ultimate takes the cake versus these. Next up, we have the comparison I'm sure all of us wanted to see. So we have the Legend Series 8 Chase Jake the Snake Roberts in the green. Remember that this figure was released in the maroon as well. The green was the Chase. So it was a little harder to find. And when they announced the Ultimate Edition figure here on the left, I was like, do I need to keep this Legends figure? Because obviously the Ultimate's going to be superior. And, you know, we'll probably make that decision here as we go through the comparisons. But starting off with the torso, just look how much beefier the Ultimate figure is versus the Legend. And I know Jake was thinner earlier in his run when he had this kind of look with the facial hair and the mullet. But he was always a beefier guy, a little bigger. So I feel like the wider torso on the Ultimate figure definitely suits Jake a lot better. But you also see the height difference. The Ultimate is definitely taller. It's wider. The deco on the actual tights is similar, but it is a little different. You'll see the placement is a little different on the tights. This is more towards the back, so it is slightly different. But you can see the snake even has the same kind of outline with the green. Actually looks to be a little smaller on the Ultimate. But look at the difference in the boots. Without question, if you ask me, I mean, we've gotten this variation on Legends on a lot of different Jake figures. But this on the Ultimate just looks, wow, way better. Definitely 100 times better in my opinion. Really does make it pop more. It looks more realistic. And if you want to see how the snake is on the other side, so the deco is slightly different. They are not identical. This head that is on the Legends figure did also come as one of the interchangeable heads with the actual Ultimate. I think that was the scan that was originally on the figure itself. You'll see this one has the bushier mustache. Personally, I think I'm going to get rid of this figure. He has the single jointed elbows, the smaller torso, and he looks tiny for a Jake figure. So without a doubt, in my mind, I go Ultimate Edition all day, every day. And for our last set of comparisons, so we have the Coliseum Collection Series 1 Ultimates on the left with Terry Funk and Hulk Hogan versus Jake and Rick Rude here. Before we finish up here with some final thoughts, if you guys haven't already, please do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button down below. For you guys new to the channel, I definitely put a ton of the newest and latest WWE and AEW Jazzwares wrestling figures up here first, so make sure to turn on those notification bells and stay tuned to my future reviews coming up down the road. As far as these two figures go, I'll be totally honest, when Series 2 was revealed, I don't want to say I was let down a little bit. These were not two figures or two guys I really felt I needed as an Ultimate Edition this soon in the iteration of the Coliseum Collection line. Like, I get it, Jake and Rick are definitely you know, worthy of it, don't get me wrong, but I mean, we just had Terry Funk and Hulk Hogan, and well, even Terry Funk was one that I wasn't really like, oh, I need an Ultimate Edition figure. Obviously Hulk Hogan is a main event name. feel like the next set they come out with Series 3 needs to have a little more of the star power, maybe one of those, like a Macho or an Ultimate Warrior, or someone of that nature. And like I said, I wasn't really super excited, and I was a little like, okay, I can get behind these. I definitely want them. But I don't know if these were the two I personally would have picked. I'm sure there's strategy behind it, but that's just my opinion. But now that they have the figures in hand, I feel like they're beautiful. I mean, they really do look great. I love everything about Rick Rude, from the new torso sculpt they've given him with the abs and the butterfly joints. The tights look great. The robe is pretty awesome. Jake looks 100 times better than the Elite version, if you ask me. He's got the size that all the Jakes really should have. The head scans, I will say, are lacking a little bit. I feel like they could have done something a little different to differentiate between those two kind of similar scans, but I do like the green attire. Again, it's a bummer we did kind of really get this figure. Now they kind of just plussed it up, and I don't really feel like it was that long ago, even though it probably was. You're talking Legends Series 8. We're up to what now? Going to 17, 18? So, I mean, it is what it is. Now that I have the figures in hand, I will say I do like them. I do recommend them. I know these may not be characters that everyone needs for their collection. Some people may be happy with the Elites or the Legends figures they got prior. Personally, this was the Rick Rude I wanted for my collection. I never really cared so much for the kind of longer hair with the puffier hair like the Elite 77. So I was happy to add this figure to my collection. And again, like I said, Jake is definitely a step above the Legends figure that was released. So if you are interested in grabbing this set, it is available only at MattelCreations.com. They do retail for $70, but you know what? You do get a lot of bang for your buck. You get special packaging. You get a ton of accessories, ton of interchangeable hands, so I say go ahead and grab them. Series 1 is actually still available up there too if you haven't picked up Terry Funk or Hulk Hogan. If I had to pick my favorites from the series so far, obviously we've only had 2. I'm still going to go with Series 1 as my favorite versus these two. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video review, and I'll catch you all on the next one.